Hi, I'm Dave Hilowitz. So last week, Angus Roberts-Carey of ARC Samples and now of Spitfire fame released a free template for piano book users. I say for piano book users, but really anybody could use it. Essentially, it's a template, kind of like a boilerplate for Kontakt. If you want to make a Kontakt instrument and you don't know where to start, it's a great place to look. So for this video, I thought I would give it a spin and maybe look at how you can customize it a bit, maybe add round robins, change out some effects. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull up the template in question, which looks like this. It has 3 knobs that you can control. Each knob corresponds to a group. Actually, technically it's a bus. We'll get into that in a second. It's got a volume knob and 2 effects knobs. Pretty basic, but also pretty powerful. So yeah, let's build an instrument. For this project, I have actually grabbed some samples already, and the way this template is structured is you have these 3 knobs, and the 3 knobs correspond to 3 different sets of samples. So in planning for this, I've actually picked 3 different sample sets that I'm going to try to mesh together to make kind of like a spacey lead sound. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in my instruments for group 1, which are labeled here. I can actually just line them up exactly like that. Perfect. Okay, and you'll notice here that I actually have round robins. That actually presents me with my initial problem. We'll get to those in a second. Right now I'm going to just skip to voice 2. So just go up here. Okay, very good. I'm actually just going to stretch this one down too. Okay, and finally we're going to do group 3, which is down here. And same deal. Okay, I'm excited about this already. So as I was saying, I actually have round robins. If you're not sure what round robins are, basically they're alternate versions of each of these samples. So if you hit 3 successive notes, you actually get 3 different samples, slightly different samples for each of these. So in order to get round robins, we actually need to multiply the number of groups we have here. Instead of having 1 group 1, we need 3 group 1s. So I'm going to call this group 1 RR1, and I'm actually going to just duplicate this group. Actually, I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it without samples. So I get all the same settings. And I'm going to go up here and call this. And I'm going to paste without samples again. And I'm going to call this RR3. And by the way, you can actually go over to the left-hand panel and expert, I think is what you want. Yeah, and you can get a list of groups. Sometimes it's easier to see your list of groups like this, and it actually gives you your ID number for the group, so that's kind of helpful. Okay, I'm actually going to put samples in these. I'm going to speed this up so you don't actually have to watch me just like dragging samples around. Okay, so we've got our sample all mapped. It's kind of a mess, but now it's time to actually implement the round robins, which is actually super easy given the way that the template was set up. The way these knobs at the front work is they don't map to groups, but they map to buses instead, which basically means that in order for these knobs to continue working, in order for us to not have broken it by adding a bunch of groups, all we need to do is make sure that we have maintained the group to bus mapping. So each of these groups is mapped to a specific bus, like the group 2 ones are all mapped to the group 2 bus, the group 1s are all mapped to the group 1 bus, etc. As long as we preserve that, we're good to go. So now all we need to do is turn on round robins in the group start options. So I turn them on, and now I'm going to make sure I'm not editing all the groups at once. This is round robin 2, so we say 2. This is round robin 3, so we say 3. This is 2 again. This is 3. This is where having labeled all the samples well really helps a little bit. Okay. And now if I play a bunch of notes, we can hear that it's actually subtly different every time I'm hitting the key. So round robins are done. Next order of business is to modify the mapping for this FX knob. So by default, this FX knob maps to a low-pass filter, which is useful for a lot of different things like stringed instruments. Not so useful for this patch because I already like basically the timbre and I don't really want to screw with that too much. What I do want is a chorus, so we're going to swap this out for a chorus effect. So I'm going to go down to where the low pass filter is hanging out in the instrument insert effects, and I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to swap in a chorus. Perfect. I'm not even going to change the settings at all. So, so now what we need to do is we need to reattach this effects knob because it doesn't do anything right now. The reason it doesn't do anything is it was mapped to the cutoff modulation of that low pass filter, and we deleted that low pass filter. So now what we actually need to modify down here is actually this. The volume of the wet level in this particular effect. So we're going to look up in the Kontakt manual how to do that. First, let's go to our script and see what we're working with here. We know that it's going to be called FX1. This is the block that actually defines the knob. And now we're going to go down to the block that actually does handling. And this is what we need to replace. This is where we were formerly modifying the cutoff of the low pass filter. Now we're going to actually get rid of this, and I'm actually just going to copy and paste this, and we're going to just basically just change this to something else. So first I'm going to go to the manual and I'm going to see where this got defined. So this is where the cutoff for the low pass filter is defined. This is all part of the appendix of the Kontakt manual, of the KSP reference manual. What we need to do is we need to find one that's called like wet level or something like that for the chorus. So it looks like this might actually be the thing we're looking for, even though it's actually under send effects, because it says wet amount of send effects when used in an insert chain, which is exactly what we have. The chorus is a send effect that's being put into the insert chain. So yeah, let's give this a shot, see what happens. At very worst, it will do nothing. I can get rid of the old code. I'm going to play a chord and ooh, it's a bit loud, but we definitely found the right control. So what we need to do now is we need to actually scale it down so that we're actually not outputting such a high value, if that makes sense. One of the things about knobs in Kontakt is it's a little bit hard to know what value they're outputting. So if you need to debug it, you can do message and then the name of the knob. And when you hit apply, in the bottom left-hand corner of the window, it'll actually show you what it's outputting. So that's kind of like the maximum I would want it to be at. It's about 500,000. So we're going to go up to the top here where we have FX1. And I'm actually going to, this is the range of the knob, 1 through 1,000,000. And we're actually just going to change this to 1 through 500,000. Which actually is the range of FX2 anyway. Very good. Another thing that I've noticed is that by default, none of the groups that come with this have ADSR modulators attached to them. So a good thing to do is to hit Edit All Groups and then just go down to the amplifier section, do Add Envelope AHDSR, and that will basically just add an ADSR to all of your groups, which is definitely what I want here. And here I'm just going to add a factory. Maybe I'll add some delays. Okay, I'm beginning to like this patch a little more. Okay, so now that we've added that delay, I want that first effects control to not only control the chorus, but also to control the delay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this message because that was really just for debugging. I'm going to grab this and I'm just going to paste this here. And we can use the same thing because essentially we're just changing the send level, but it's on a different effect. So this 0 refers to the first effect in the chain. This 1 is going to refer to the second one. So now if we back out of here and I play a chord, we've still got our echo, turn this down, chorus and echo both came off of the effect. Okay, I think that's it. Basically, I just wanted to do a quick walkthrough of Angus's template to just kind of like show off how easy it is to create an instrument using it. Obviously, if you're making your own instrument, you'll probably want to swap out this background image. I think Angus is probably going to work on a video about how to do that shortly. If he does, I'll be sure to link to it below. Okay, hope this was helpful. See you guys next time.